Welcome to the Strong, Single and Human podcast, a real look at single parenting, the ups and downs, and how to navigate life with kids on your own while keeping sane. Covering subjects such as domestic violence through to fussy eaters and solo dating. I'm your host, Claire Martin. Welcome. This week's guest is the creator of Jetpulse Comics. His flagship title, The New Adventures of Jake Jetpulse, is a comic book adventure story that was inspired by his son, Jacob, who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at the age of 4. Desperately looking for a way to communicate with Jacob and help him learn, he used his love of art and turned Jacob's artwork into an exciting comic book learning adventure. Jetpulse Comics is a unique father and son project created to uplift, encourage and raise awareness about children and other individuals all over the world who are on the autism spectrum. Since 2018, Jetpulse Studios has published 5 comics which are being used by educators as a tool to help both students and teachers understand the challenges inherent with autism spectrum disorder. The Jetpulse father and son team have received great praise, and their efforts have been highlighted on Fox 5 News New York, Now This Media, LX.com, and the Today Show. Wow, what a story. Welcome, Led. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No, cool. So, hey, look, tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you got onto the idea of creating a comic for your son or with your son.
Well, I'm a single dad, and my son Jake was diagnosed with autism around the age of 3.5. I believe he was in pre-K around that time. And
okay,
I didn't know like a lot about like autism spectrum disorder, so I had to do a lot of research myself. And so I turned to Google. I pretty much just researched everything that I could possibly find about autism spectrum disorder, and just to get some kind of knowledge before getting him the services. I remember speaking with there's a developmental pediatrician, and I remember how he used to gravitate to like the picture books and things like that. And then I noticed also too that he was also really big into superheroes, and that was his special interest. That's all he ever wanted to talk about was that. So, and it was great. I mean, as a comic book artist, I love, as a comic book fan myself, I mean, it's nice when it's great when your kid is really into comic books too. So
do you actually, is your day job drawing comic books?
Well, at that point, at that time when Jake was diagnosed, I was a technical writer, technical illustrator. So my job was actually making user manuals, like instruction manuals for like and let's see, Bluetooth speakers and headphones and cell phones and tablets. So I got to play around with a lot of like electronic gadgets for a living, and then like writing the instructions on them, doing like the little editorial product reviews on like what I think about them, like the pros and cons of them. And so basically making instructions was pretty much my job. It's like, really like laying out the instructions, the how-tos. I mean, as a matter of fact, I had this job way before like I ever thought there was actually a job, because I was doing it for my mom, who's a and the thing is like my mom cannot use like electronics to save her life. I'm still teaching her how to use the microwave. I don't ever think she grasped using a VCR, things like that. And I remember like leaving sticky notes on the side of the microwave telling her how to use it. I've always had this whole history of giving instructions on how to use things. So when my contract was up, I think in 2016, 2017, I walked away saying to myself, you know what, I've been working so much for everyone else. I mean, maybe I should do something for myself. but I didn't know what in the world I was going to do. So I had no clue. So there was a time I was just floating around trying to figure out what I was going to do. Should I go back into that business? Should I try something else? Should I go into graphic design? Like, what do I do? And it's really cool that the city, like the labor departments here, they have their own small business networks to get you started with your own business. And I had, and just by coincidence, I was sitting in the office and I'm doodling and I'm drawing. And that's pretty much what I do. Like when I'm anxious, when I'm nervous, I'm always drawing. I mean, I'm always drawing all the time. So I must be anxious all the time. So when you come to think of it, when I say it out loud, that's pretty much it. But it caught the attention of one of the administrators there. And they're like, hey, would you ever think about like starting your own business, like doing this like full time? And I'm like, okay. I had no idea what I was doing. Wow. I just shrugged it. I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? And it didn't really click until all of these, like all the evaluations, we started getting the results of the evaluations. I'm talking to his teachers. And then like a couple months in, it finally hit me. And I'm like, wait, I think I know what I want to do, because he's been talking about cartoons and comic books and superheroes. And then he was killing us financially when it came to like costumes, because every character he wanted to pretend to be, he had to have a costume to accompany it, because he stayed in character. Yeah. So if it was Batman, he was Batman all day long. If he was Spider-Man, he was Spider-Man all day long. And he had to know everything about the character. He was immersed in it. And I said to myself, like, okay, maybe what I'll do is like, instead of, maybe I'll start drawing like superheroes. So I started drawing like Superman and Batman. And that got his attention because he was surprised that I knew how to draw. I'm like, well, welcome to the world, because I've been doing this forever. So then I finally started talking to his teacher, and she's like, yeah, he won't stop talking about like superheroes. He's a great kid. He really knows what he's talking about. It's just we can't get him to focus because he just breaks into like superheroes and stuff. So.
And they were finding that he was, so when he was so we've now moved on a few years from when he was first diagnosed. Mm-hmm. And autism spectrum disorder, is that another form of autism, or is that a particular type? What? Well, because we just call it autism over here, but I don't. Yeah, because for everyone listening, you're actually in the States, so I don't know if it's slightly different.
Well, Asperger's I don't think it's no longer classified as Asperger's here. It's classified as autism spectrum disorder.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
I think we still class it as Asperger's, but
right.
Who knows? It's different throughout the world, isn't it?
Yeah. And
shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. And it's his special, it's his special interest that he really knows a lot about. And I figured, I need to find a way to navigate my way through his special interests and try to help him out. So,
and the teacher, teachers, just going back a bit. So the teachers were finding, we've moved on and he's at school, mm-hmm. and the teachers were finding that he was great at like superhero stuff and all the detail there, but the stuff that they needed him to actually learn about, like the reading and the writing and all of that stuff, he just wasn't quite getting it like he was getting it with the superhero stuff.
Right, exactly. Like when it came to like his everyday work, when it came to the normal like the daily class work, it was hard for him to really really grasp it and understand like the concept. But when it came to like superheroes and magic powers and all this other stuff like that, he had the memory of an African elephant. This kid can recite everything, and it was beautiful because that's when I understood that he can learn. He knows it. It's just trying to find like the patterns, to give him the information. So I remember talking to his teacher, and I remember that conversation because I will never forget her face when I said to her, I was like, "Do you like comic books?" And she looked at me. She was like, "Are you serious? Like, how old are you?" Didn't you see the gray in my hair? She's looking at me like, so I'm like, no, wait. I think you need to hear me out. I was like, what if I start drawing Jake as a superhero? Do you think, do you think like that would help or whatever if I start drawing like, cartoons? And at first I started out like with Superman and Batman and things like that to try to help them. And she was like, hey, I'll give it a try. So we started doing like a token reward system, like giving him puzzles of superheroes and things and like small figurines, stuff like that. So that'll help like try to reel him in. And it was working somewhat. Like it was like off and on. It was, like a one day at a time type of thing.
Yeah.
And I found I'm still doing research. I'm still reading. I'm still going online. I'm still looking for stuff. And I find, oh my God, art therapy exercises. And I was reading, I forgot the website I was looking at, but I remember looking at several, and they were and one thing that really stood out was that like art is like, it's like a silent language. It's basically, it doesn't, you can draw and express yourself, and you don't have to, there really is no communication. Those deficits, in communication and stuff are like completely like bypassed, where you could just sit there and draw and get everything out that you feel. And it's really helpful for children who have like, like difficulties like communicating or like, or just in social conversation. So I said to myself, like, wow, okay, I can do this because I've been drawing since forever. I started looking at some of the lessons, some of the examples that they had. And one of them that really stood out, the first one was, what was it? It was drawing an emotions chart, right? And
wow, okay.
And basically you would use colors to represent like your feelings. So we had blue for sadness, red for angry, yellow for happy. And I would have those little markers or, the crayons on one side. And I had this chart and I put it on the refrigerator. So every day after school, I was like, Jake, how do you feel? And we would go over this every day so that he got used to the colors, and he would grab the color that he felt, and he would, color in the box that day. And then I can ask him, why did you feel that way?
Cool.
And just to get him to try to, to talk about it. So I don't know. I think I slipped and bumped my head one day. I don't know what happened. I think it was like I was going in the refrigerator and having a beer. It was like It was like that time. It was like one of those mental health moments where it's just like you just need a break, right? And as soon as the refrigerator door closed, like the light bulb went off, and I was like, I got it. So then I went back and I started thinking of like comic books. I started thinking of like how I dissect comic books and how like I draw things. And I started breaking it down into a lesson, like a lesson plan. I created a whole syllabus around the way how I draw.
Oh my gosh.
And what I did was with the color chart, I turned it into an entire lesson about drawing your emotions. So I would sit down with a piece of paper and say, Jake, draw me a sad picture. Draw me a happy picture, draw me an angry picture, use these colors, use red, yellow, whatever. And that's how like I draw, like to create a scene. If I want to draw like a very intense like scene where like an emotional scene, I want to like communicate to you, that the character is angry, I'll use like shades of red, I'll use like shades of blue and, or like gray when they're confused, or things. So I started doing that with him, and I'm like, okay, draw me like a happy picture, and it would draw like, bright colors, like, purple and orange and whatever. And that's how I started doing it. And he started catching on. Then I saw another lesson, draw yourself as a superhero, which is basically to show, like the qualities that you like about yourself.
Yeah.
That's when he just grabbed the ball and ran.
Oh my gosh. But I suppose you just honed straight into like what he loves, because like he loves his superheroes.
Yeah. And I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I really didn't.
None of us do, love.
I just stepped in a big pile of it. I had no idea what I did. And I remember it's like I'm giving him all these lessons, drawing with colors and emotions, and then the superhero thing that really opened the floodgates, because he started drawing himself as this character.
Wow.
He called it Ultra Jake. Right. So in the beginning, it was Ultra Jake to the rescue. And he would sit there and he would draw. And then he started making like his own comic books where he would like have my mom or any adult that was around to staple the pages together. And he's like, Dad, I made you a comic book. And I'm like, oh, great. This is awesome. And I would keep it. And I was like, can you draw me another one? And he would draw it again. And then like he would draw like different characters and stuff, and he would give them names. And it doesn't stop there. I went crazy when it went to all this. So check this out.
Oh my gosh.
So I had this really cool lesson to create like the villains and the monsters and everything else. So one day he has this nightmare. He's screaming. He wakes up 3 a.m, inconsolable, losing his mind. He's like, I can't sleep. So the next day, after like hours of trying to get him to sleep, and I have like pots. Seriously, I had like the entire coffee, like the whole press coffee. I might as well just chug it down. So
I've been there. Yeah, I know the pain. I've definitely been there, where they wake up at 2 a.m. and you've got to get up for work at 6, and they finally fall back to sleep at 6, and you're like, come on, dude, why can you have done this hours? It's soul destroying. But yeah, I've been there. I know what you mean. And then you're surviving for the next 2 or 3 days, like you say, on pots of coffee and trying to catch up on your sleep.
Right. I wake up in the morning half dead, and he's got all the energy in the world. He's like, take the hill. And I'm like, dude, you got too much. Stop, please. So the next morning after his nightmare, I remember I did the same thing. I brought up a piece of paper, the crayons and stuff. I said, Jake, can you draw your nightmare for me? And then he was drawing this monster, and it was like, it had red beady eyes and, sharp teeth. And he was just like, and it was chasing me. So I was like, okay, well, I figured let's give it a stupid name. Let's give it a silly name, So let's call him like Dr. Bubble Farts or something silly, right? Because you figure like once you've named this big giant monster Dr. Bubble Farts, it's no longer anything scary anymore. It's like you're giving the kid back his power, and it's like he feels good about it. Now he can make fun of it. It's no longer scary to him. So we started creating this, and then I would use my mom couldn't stand it. She's a big a big believer in paper plates, because she doesn't believe in washing dishes anymore. She's like, wow, you're messing all my plates. So I grabbed the plates and I start drawing on them. So I started making these little tiki faces, like the monster faces on the back of plates. And then like I would use those and say, listen, these ugly monster faces will scare other monsters away, because monsters don't have mirrors in Monsterland. I made this whole story on the fly.
Oh my God.
And I was like, monsters don't have mirrors in Monsterland, and they don't know that they're ugly. So when they see these monster faces, they'll just run. So, and he believed me. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to tape these to your bed. And I did that. And then I had one of these little bottles of empty water bottles, and I filled it full of water. And I had a little label I put on there, and I put like monster spray on it. So
yeah, I've done exactly the same thing. I think I put a bit of lavender in mine, so it smelt different from water. Yeah. And I said, look, I've created this monster spray. I got it from the shops, and you just have to spray it, buddy. And like the monsters went, and like we went through months of spraying this stuff.
I should have just stuck with that, because I went through a more intricate, elaborate story.
Oh my God, did you?
Yeah, because I said that it was Monster Peeps. That that it's actually it's Monster Peeps in here, and if you like humans can't smell it, but monsters can.
Oh my God!
So I'd spray it on him, and he was happy to jump into bed. We never had a problem with him again. So, but all those drawings, I saved all of them, and I saved all of his drawings for 2 reasons. Like for one, it made great characters for the for the comic book. The second was that for his evaluations, his IEPs, for anytime that we had to sit down with a professional, as his occupational therapist, whoever, it was a great way to basically gauge his development by showing everything in pictures on what he's capable of doing. And I didn't know either about fine motor skills. I was told this by his occupational therapist about like the muscles in their hands and fingers, manipulating scissors and using pencils, that I'm basically reinforcing that every single time like we're sitting down and drawing. So like I said, I stepped in it. I had no idea what I was doing when I'm doing all this. I was just trying to, doing my best like to help him. So that's when like I had all of this material now, all this stuff that he created with this character. I started drawing him as the character and his likeness and stuff, and then I would talk to the teacher. I actually brought it to his teacher, I remember, and I showed it to her, and I'm like, yeah, this is Jake, this is a superhero. And I was like, this is what he made, this is what I made. And I was like, can I have like all the words, the sight words for the week and whatever you're teaching, do you mind sharing it with me? And when she saw like the stuff laid out on the desk, she was like, yeah, I'll help. She was more than happy to.
Oh, wow.
So I would take all the sight words and put them in like I would make these little flashcards or like just on pages. And then I would teach him how to read like that. And as long as he saw himself, that's how he wanted to read.
And so when you say sight words, these are the because in Australia we have, I can't remember what they're called now, but the kids get like magic words or whatever they are. And so they get a group of like 12 words that they learn on a weekly basis. So it could be the and there, something like that. Is that what you're talking about with these sight words?
It's like sight words are like, I guess like along like with what you said, I guess,
like house, dog, cat, and all of those sort of things.
Right. Like sight words are like the words that like you should be able to like, identify on sight. It doesn't take you like to break down like up, jump,
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So what I would do is that like I would write it out, and whatever the sight word was, I would just change the color of the font. And so it would be like jump would be in red.
Oh, okay.
And then like I would say, Jake, what does this say? And I would have like a drawing that that has whatever it is that I wanted him to see. And he's like, jump. I'm like, okay, good. What about this one?
Yeah.
Fly. And I was like, okay, great. What about this one? And he would say, run. I'm like, all right, awesome. And then what I would do is after a while, once he started learning the words, I would put them all together. Jake, what does this say? And that's what I started doing.
And so that way, so in doing what you did, that way he learned to like read these letters and then read sentences and books, etc., and go from there, basically. Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, and thank you. And so after that, then that's when I started putting like I made like I wish I still had one of those books. They're around, they're floating around here somewhere. And I remember one of the parents in Jake's class came to me and was like, oh my God, like Jake showed me like some of the drawings that you did. And like, do you guys like have any books or anything, because I would love to like, I would love it for my son. And I'm like, I can make one. And I'm like, dude,
yeah, you're like, no.
Like, like you don't know what you're doing. Stop. Why did you say that? So then I had, then I went ahead and I made a small book. It was like 20 pages, but like at the end of the book was all the sight words for the semester. Right at the end.
Oh, cool.
And it was fun because Jake took it to school and like gave it out to all the kids in his class. And, he was able to have his own little book signing. So he had like, like the last half hour of the day, like he was able to sign the book and like, yay, giving the feeling.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm waiting for him after school, waiting for him to be dismissed from school. And I see the principal. The principal was like, yeah, like, the teacher told me that, that he was like, he has his own book. I was like, yeah, like I made it for him. She's like, oh, that's really awesome. Do you have any more? And I'm like, wow. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have any more books. What are you doing?
I love your internal conversations. They're so funny. Yeah. No. Yeah.
So then I'm like, yeah. And then my internal self was like, dude, you're really getting yourself too far into this. Yeah. So
like, what are you doing?
Right. So now I'm like, okay, now I've committed. And like now, like half the school has like, has these little, these little books that I made. And it was the first ones that I did. And then I remember a couple of months later, like the parents came to me again. They were like, do you have any more books? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make another one. And then I took the reading and math and whatever. And what I did was, because his teacher said that he needed help with reading comprehension, I did 5 mini stories in one of the books. And at the end of it was a review. Okay, so how well did you read the story? And ask questions. And then there were like some little mazes. I put some coloring pages in there, and everyone loved it. And I was surprised because I did something that people like. I was like, oh my God, okay, let's try this again. But yeah, that's how that's what it turned into. And then like,
yeah. And so you've got like what, 5 comics now? Right.
So there's 5 comics, and they're more like workbooks, like comics / workbooks. And then there's our latest one, which is actually a full-length action like comic. So, which is really cool because it's like it gives kids a little bit of the readers like some more insight into like Jake's universe that he created. So, and there's a lot of things about like autism that was incorporated into the characters. For instance, like the core 3 characters that we created are they're the symptoms of autism separated. So like,
okay.
Yeah. So for instance, like Julia is like Jake's best friend. She's the tech wizard, you know. She's like the uber nerd. She knows everything about science and history and math, and she likes to build gadgets and stuff, and it's like that, which is really fun. So, and then we have like Mars the troll, and I'll get into that in a minute. But he's an 8-foot troll, but he's like their protector, the kid's protector. But he's also very literal. He doesn't understand like, you know, sarcasm, or like, you know, doesn't get the punchline, the joke. Sometimes they fly over his head, you know. And but he's very, but
protective and like loyal and all of those sort of things. Yeah.
And Jake is like, you know, the impulsivity. He's like the courage. He wants to, like, sometimes he'll get a little ahead of himself and really not think of the trouble he got himself into, which is kind of like Jake, like how he is. And one of the cool things that I did too with the character as well is that in the beginning he didn't have this, but from the time that we created the character up until now, Jake needed to, he was prescribed an FM headset, like a noise canceling headset, where wears the microphone and all the sounds canceled out. All he hears is the teacher. And I remember him coming home saying, "Oh, the kids laugh at me. I don't want to wear this. I don't want to wear this. You know, I don't like it. You know, it looks funny." So I incorporated it into Jake's super suit, into, you know. So now I like the whole backstory behind it is that it helps focus all of Jake's powers. It keeps it contained so it doesn't run wild, you know. So the headset, when it's on him, you know, it just keeps it contained. That's why his eyes glow blue, you know.
Oh my gosh! And what did and so what did Jake think of that?
At first, he thought that it was a silly idea until all of his friends were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" And then complimenting it, and he was like, "Oh, Dad, this is awesome!" You know.
Oh, cool.
So, like,
that's such an interesting way of actually combining like what he has to wear to the story and being able to turn his mind around from it.
So in the latest comic that we did, which is really cool, it's because there's a certain scene where he's fighting like this goblin queen, and you know, and the headset gets disrupted, malfunctions for a moment. And because of it, you know, like he loses control of his power. So his eye beams start going everywhere. And that was basically our way of like talking about sensory processing disorders and how like certain abrupt sounds can, you know, like affect somebody who's, you know.
Yeah.
Right. So that was our way of like of actually writing that into the story. And we didn't want to write it as a weakness. We wanted to write it as like a sort of strength. Like Jake is that powerful that he needs this thing to help him focus. And so like whenever he,
yeah, and look, at the end of the day, some kids with autism, Asperger's, or whatever, they're sensory, so they're it's about what they feel. So it might be that there's certain t-shirts or certain clothes that they don't like to wear because they don't like the feel of it. Some kids, it's sounds, and they need to be able to shut out a lot of the sounds to be able to focus. But it's not a weakness in a way. It potentially, it's just the way they interpret the world, and it could be seen as a strength because, they're then honing in. They just need to hone in. And then when they shut out all of the noise, or when they wear what they need to wear, it enhances their senses, and they then can focus in a lot more into the detail. It's almost like with him not having those headset on, that he can't then focus in on the detail because there's so much detail buzzing around that it's sort of distracting him as such. And I don't know if that's how it works, but that's my experience anyway with kids who have, I know who have got Asperger's or who have got autism. That sort of, they need that focus or that comfort to then be able to hone those skills, those superpowers that they've got. Because they are super at the end of the day. They're just different from us.
And then we expanded on it too. Like in the same comic also, like readers will also notice how Julia has issues looking her other people who she's not comfortable with. She won't look them in in the eyes. So certain things it was our plan, Jake and I, now that he's older, to tell the reader that they have autism without telling them that they have autism. It's so you'll see the characters' traits and things, and as you learn them, it's not like we're not pointing a finger saying this is autism, pay attention. It's just one of those things where it's I have a brother or a sister that that's like that, and it opens up a whole it opens up a new realm of discussion now, because now you have these heroes that have these heroes with traits just like people, and being that Jake, creates these characters and gives me ideas, and as I read and as we learn and everything, I kind of get an idea of what how he's seeing the world. So I try to incorporate that into the characters to try to make them as relatable, to other readers, because you and I we wouldn't really understand what it is that our kids are hearing or seeing or how they're experiencing it. But I'm trying to get as close as I possibly can by by his own experiences. So, when Julia has issues not looking somebody directly in the face, or when she's told it's your turn to lead because Jake needs help, and it's but wait a minute, that's not the routine, that's not the way it's supposed to be, and she's having anxieties because you're supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do this, and it's not the other way around. These are some of the things that I wanted to address in the story to show, okay, this is who they are. And one of the things I think was really cool is that by creating these characters and not putting it on display, putting autism on display, it was more that a neurotypical child, anyone who's not on the autism spectrum can look at these characters and be wow, they're cool, because Jake always felt funny, because he was always aware that he was different than than the other kids in the playground or whatever. He knew he was a little different. And it would make him feel bad because kids would tease him and stuff. So eventually he stopped playing with them after a while. And I remember him feeling lonely about that. So that was one of the driving forces behind it, to create a character that everyone can be everyone can get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what results have you seen in Jake with all of this? So with the comics and everything like that, what results have you seen within him as to who he is at school and outside of school?
I can't shut him up. Um,
no, that's good.
And the cool part, the cool part about it is that like you could see where like his self-esteem is escalated. And
awesome.
And it's like now that he's writing and and he's reading well, like above his grade level, he also helps me like with like developing characters. Dad, I have a really cool idea. We should do a werewolf character and this and blah blah blah.
Wow.
He'll tell me this whole backstory, and I'm like write it down. Draw me a couple of pictures, and I'll get to work on it. I'll take a look at it, and the next issue it should be this, and this. And he'll tell me, he'll volunteer. So by that, I'm also helping him stretch his creative writing muscles by, including him into the process now. So, yeah, and it's a lot of fun because I see it how he improves in school too. Because he's math we need to work on, but like the reading part, he's got, because I've been really working on him in that department.
Yeah. Well, and I suppose it's built his confidence. He now doesn't feel like he's the bad kid who gets picked on at school because everyone's like, it's such a shame that, kids, if they're different, and it doesn't need to be that they've got autism, it can just be that they've got red hair, or do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean red hair is a bad thing. Love red hair, but do you know what I mean? Where or they've got green eyes when, all the other kids have brown eyes for some bizarre reason that comes to my head, but I don't know why. But, they're just different, right? At my son's school, there's one girl who has lost her sight or is partially sighted, so she has a cane. There's things like that they're just different, right? But that's all they are. They're different. They shouldn't be thought of as good or bad or whatever. They're just kids that are different, and they all contribute to everything in the school community and society and all of that stuff. Kids should never think of themselves as bad in any way. It's such a shame.
I remember when he would say everybody calls me weird. Everybody calls me weird. And then that's the reason why if you go on the website, there's there's an actual Amazon store. I did this because he's like, everybody thinks I'm weird. Everybody thinks I'm weird. So I created the Amazon store, and then I have all these T-shirts with with the Jake Jetpulse character on it.
Awesome.
And so when he goes to school and he has a sweatshirt or a T-shirt with him on it, it's like Spider-Man or Batman. It's him. So
it's him.
All the kids see it and they're like, ooh, and it, I did it to help him feel more confident. Let kids know you're a hero.
Yeah.
Right. And that was
because you are. Every kid's a hero. Right. Especially to their parents.
Yeah. And that was our mantra in the beginning, was unleash your inner hero. So it just fit with the whole, that just fit with the whole thing. So Jake goes to school with a shirt with his own superhero likeness on it. And he can be proud of it. So now it's I just realized this. On a side note, that was a really random thought. Whenever your kid says that, whenever your kid says to you, when you ask them, what do you want for your birthday? And they say well, I want a comic book store. Yeah. There's a point where you have to. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're going to have to write a hell of a lot of these comic books for him to have a comic book store, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to have to sell a whole bunch of them too. But
yeah, nice. Well, we'll try and help there. And look, what kid can actually say that they've been on TV, man? I mean, he's been on the Today Show, Fox 5.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a superstar.
Yeah, and it's great because we're I'm working on another book now, and it's what we're doing is we're going to do a picture book. We're going to go back. We're going to do it from the very beginning, how we started. We're going to do a picture book, and it's going to be all new illustrations, and it's going to be really cool. So to introduce characters the kids to the characters between the ages of 4 and 8.
Oh my
cool picture book. And it's so it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun to put something together, because I used to have fun with those. I remember when I would go to school and they would come home with the order form for the book of those book clubs, And how many of these Star Wars books did I have? I mean, like, my God. I mean, it didn't matter as long as I saw Star Wars on it, I wanted it. But but I remember how cool those books were, and it was like, and I was like, Mom, I have to have it, please, please, please. And I was like, what do you think? Money grows on trees? And I'd look out the window and check. So
isn't growing on trees, buddy. Well, no, it's quite funny you say that, because when I was a kid, I liked the books where I was a bit older. I was probably about 10, 11, but the books where you read, they were like a murder mystery book, and you read through them. I can't remember what they're called, and I'm sure somebody will post and say, oh, they're called this, but you read the book, and then at the bottom of like the page it said, right, yes, you go through the door, no, you don't go through the door, and you go somewhere else down the stairs or whatever, and then you'd have to flip to that page to find out what happened next in the story.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar. It really does.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were called. But yeah, and you'd then read that page or 2 pages, and then there would be another one. Do you open the box or take the key and go through the secret door, or whatever it was? And I, with no word of a lie, right, because I so wanted to win at these books, I would map out every decision I made. So I would go through and I'd make all of these decisions and map it all out, and then at some point it might go, oh, and you died, or it wouldn't be as drastic as you died because I was 10, right? But it would be things like, oh, you got caught by the monster, or I don't know, and I go, damn, I didn't get to the treasure. It'd be like a treasure hunt, like a treasure map. And so then I'd go back or retrace all my steps and go back, and then go, right, I made the wrong decision there, I needed to do this, what happens if I do this? And I would map it all out again. I have books of these things mapped out. Sad me, but there we go.
You really remind me of like one of the books that we made. We had this book called I did this book called Create Your Own Superhero Adventure, and it's called it's a Jake Jetpulse book. It's called Hidden Heroes, awesome. Create Your Own Superhero Adventure. And what it does is like it just takes the kids on a whole journey to create their own superhero. And the way how we do it is like, who are you, like, name 5 of your best friends, and like who, like the reader will name like their best friends, and it's like, okay, that's your superhero team. And if you were to have a superpower, what would it be? And if you were to have like your own costume, what colors would it be? And then like you give you an opportunity to draw it, and then you can pick your superhero name from these random words that like were chosen. You make your superhero name. And then we created all these different scenarios in the book where it's like, okay, like the villain has like a ray. It's like, what is it, like pick a food that you think is yucky or like whatever. And it's like, okay, like it's like the kids can have fun. It's like, have a broccoli ray or something. And like, it's like terrorizing the city.
Sounds like you should take this on the road. You should take this on the road and teach kids to write their own superhero stories. Like, have a whole course on this. Do like an hour with kids in schools. Yeah. I mean, this sounds awesome.
I was like, before COVID, I actually did it like I think like maybe 2 or 3 times that I was actually able to teach an art class, which was actually it was actually like a cool dream for me to actually teach an art class, because it's like, then again, I kind of, I think I did pretty good. But
you're like an art geek. That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah. You love drawing. That's what it is. That's great.
It's one of those things where I can't describe it, but I can teach you. But like, don't ask me how to explain. It's just really weird. It's something natural that happens, and it's But it was a lot of fun because it's like and what I did in the back of the book is I think it's like 10 or 11 pages of just blank comic book panels. So after the kids write down their whole story, they can draw the whole thing out like within the book. And it's so awesome, like to see the kids like light up when like, I'm like, okay, so tell me about your adventure. And they'll, like, ooh, they can't wait to tell me. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what we'll do is that we'll take all your superhero pictures and post them on the walls, and,
that's really good.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, well, I've got a boy, so I'm not 100% sure with the girls, but I'm sure they've got girl superheroes as well. But like with my son, it's Batman, it's Spider-Man, it's ninjas at the moment. He's into ninjas in a really big way. And it is, they just love it. They connect with everything like that. And like, I mean, crikey, there are times where I'm sort of shouting, don't jump on the sofa, like for the 5th or 6th time. And like, he's springing from one chair to the other in ninja style and doing kicks and like twists and turns to copy his ninja like friends. And but hey ho, it's being a boy.
Let me tell you. Okay, so Jake was on this real Batman kick for a long time. And he still is from time to time. He'll jump right back into it, and he was about five or six, right? But
well, that's how old my son is. So
when he dresses up as Batman back then, like he had to be like, still even now he has to do everything in character. So he had the whole Batman costume on with the cape, and he had this little I don't know what you call it. It was like this little it was like a little Velcro Nerf gun that he uses, this little harpoon swing, and it was so funny because it was like, here's this little munchkin man walking up to me, and then he's trying to talk to me like he's Batman. So he's like, I'm Batman. And he's doing the whole voice, right? So I'm like, okay, Batman, save Gotham. And then like I go sit down, I'm watching the news, and he's like, where's the Joker? I'm going to find him. I'm like, well, dude, go find the Joker. He's in the other room, and you watch the news. Then I look over, and I had like one of these really cool IKEA wardrobes that are like held up by these things, these pressure on the walls. And I see him climbing the side of it. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. Right.
And it's not going to end well.
And I'm too far away from him that I can't I don't want to alert him that he's doing something dangerous. When you're like, don't do that. And they look and they freeze.
Yeah. And they look and then. Yeah.
So I don't say anything. I try to creep real slow. And then he's at the top of it. And then he stands there and he looks at me. He goes, I'm Batman. And he jumps off. And for a second, the cape opens up and it's this beautiful bat symbol, like something out of the cartoon. And I was like, wow. And then I was like, oh no. And then I looked at his face and he's like, I'm Batman. And he's like, oh no. And like the both of us. Right. And then he bounces off the bed, cartwheels, lands on his butt, stares at me. I stare at him. I don't say anything. I'm waiting for him, because I figure if I don't say anything, he's not going to cry. Right. So instead he starts crying, but he starts crying as Batman. I think I'm hurt. I'm like, so now I start cracking up laughing. And
oh my God.
And he stays in character the whole time. Right.
Oh my God. Love him.
So at this point, I'm like, Batman can't fly. And he's like, my harpoon gun didn't work. I was like, okay, so yeah.
So he's got the whole backstory and everything then. He's got everything. Yeah. He's got it all covered.
So meanwhile, I see him walking back into his room, one hand holding his butt, and he's just shuffling back into the room. And then he comes back out. He's got the mask off. And I'm like, so Batman, what did you think? And, everything okay? He's like, no, I'm Jacob now. And I'm like, what? You're not going to be Batman anymore? He goes, Batman hurts. And I'm like, okay. So he stopped being Batman for a while. Fair. So now I have the whole thing stuck in my head. It's called Batman Hurts. So because that was his response. I was like, you're not going to be Batman anymore? He's like, no, Batman hurts. So I was like, all right.
Shit.
So he's jumping off the furniture.
That's just awesome. Yeah. No, I know. It's hilarious. It's God, love him. Yeah,
Spider-Man
crazy kid.
Yeah,
I don't. My son adores Tom Holland, so he's going to be devastated that Tom Holland is not going to be Spider-Man anymore. I haven't told him that one yet, but he loves him in everything.
Yeah.
And throughout lockdown when we were in Melbourne, I had to video him as Spider-Man in his trampoline doing various different tricks throughout the house, and he would not leave me be until I'm very sorry, Tom Holland, if you got a lot of videos on your Insta, but until I'd sent Tom Holland the Instagram video of him as a message to Tom Holland. So Tom Holland, poor guy, got about, I don't know, 4 or 5 blooming videos of my son jumping around. So it was a little bit, but it was something. Look, it made him happy. I had no throwdowns, and it made him happy during lockdown. And it got him doing exercise, like bouncing around and doing exercise, which is great. There's uplifting, and all of those things. So that was awesome. But poor Tom Holland. That's all I can say. He must have got so many videos from kids during lockdown. But yeah, so it sounds like Jake isn't the only person who's got a lot out of this, though. Like, what have you got out of all of this? Because you started this for Jake, but it sounds to me as though, like, you've got a lot out of this too.
Yeah, I did. I not only did I realize where my limits were, like when it came to like being like just to the creative side. With the website, the store, the books, just everything, it's like I'm the only person. I'm like a one-man band. I've been doing this for like the last like 4.5 years, and like it's been amazing. But the biggest thing I could take away from all of this is all the people that I was able to connect with.
Wow.
Like all the, everyone from teachers and therapists and, psychologists. And there's so many people that I was able like to connect with, like over over the span of like the last 4.5 years. I mean, really, it's really amazing. So yeah, I mean, that's like probably one of like the coolest things about doing this and connecting with people and hearing their stories. And meeting their kids, their brothers, their their sisters, and learning about them. And there's I mean, I remember like there was a time when like I was stressed out and like raising raising Jake at the beginning, and like the stress, I would say, the stress of like the evaluations, well,
it's constant though, isn't it? Because I suppose it's not just that you're at home with Jake, that there's the evaluations and stuff like that, and you're at home with Jake, and Jake goes to school, and then Jake comes home. But Jake, I'm thinking, does Jake get like therapy? Has he got therapies as well? Does he have speech therapy and all of? So it's all of those things that you have to take him to as well, as in addition to school, and then all the ongoing assessments and everything. It's not just
there's his services that like occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and then there's like I guess like they have the ABA at school, and then because where he goes is like a private school he goes to, and they're great with him. He loves going there, and he tells me about his day. But there's also like, as a parent, you're also thinking about, as he's getting older, I'm thinking about like how the world is going to accept him, like his behaviors, like the like teaching him how to like to conduct himself at a social, like conversational, like, because the thing that I fear sometimes is that like I understand him, I understand I understand others, and I understand like the differences in others, and sometimes Jake can say things that can be quite abrasive sometimes,
But also, isn't that one of the traits of the autism spectrum disorder, is that like empathy and actually recognizing and picking up on people's what's the word I'm looking for? I'm searching for this, like how their cues.
Yeah. And it's that, of course, it's always concerning, because as a parent, I'm always thinking about what kind of world is he going to grow up in? Like, and how are people going to accept him, and how is he going to be able to function? Because, as a parent, you say to yourself, like, I'm not going to be around him all the time. And it's like, and to tell you the truth, autism doesn't have a face. It doesn't have like a feature. Like, this is something you can't just visually look at a person and see. And, and to bring recognition to it in some way, which is the reason why like I continue to keep doing this, and like to to create like this heroes, not just okay at the beginning. Yeah, I was teaching my son how to read, and this is where the character was born from. But I know there's a lot of people that I know that don't like the puzzle, the puzzle piece. There's a lot of people that I know that like certain symbols, but that's what I wanted to create. I wanted to create like something that when you see it, you understand. And this is and that's the reason why I was creating that's what Jake Jetpulse started to transform into for us. To create some kind of a symbol, that it's like, of this character that can achieve anything despite the odds, Yeah.
And I suppose the character is growing up with your son as such. Right. And I understand what you're saying, because the thing is, he's a child at the moment, so that's okay. And people tend to I say that. And even now, I've got a friend whose son potentially might have autism, and even other parents, how she feels when she's out and her son has a sensory issue, or he can't deal with the sound where they're out, and the other parents look as if to say, well, what's wrong, what's going on? And she just feels like she wants the ground to eat her up, basically, and take her and her son and take her off to a safe place, because people just don't understand that there potentially are things that are different about her child and stuff, and so they can be so cruel.
Yeah, I've dealt with that, and I remember there was a time I just didn't feel like going outside. I didn't like going out in the public and doing grocery shopping, because it's like at that point, I felt like everyone's staring at me. Everyone's staring at me.
And it's twice as hard as well, because you're a single dad. Yeah. So, if you're a single dad and you've got to take Jake along with you, it's twice as hard. It's not like, you've got a child saying, can I have some sweets, Dad? And there are a lot more. Sometimes they don't want to get in the car, or they don't want to get out of the car, or, there's a noise or something that's different in the shops or whatever that you then have to deal with, because it's not like going, oh, you'll be okay, it's okay. They don't like it. They won't deal with it. So, I
still to this day get angry at fire trucks. Because it's like I hate to say it, but it's true, because fire trucks, it was one of those things where it's before I learned, before we had Jake's hearing tested, before it was like a fire truck would go by and he would just scream bloody murder, and I would just I didn't know why, and that was one of the things that really that really troubled me in the beginning, because I didn't know. And
and it's lonely as well.
It's lonely, it's confusing, it's frightening, because you don't really, at that point, I didn't really understand. I'm like, why? And then there was a point where I was like, why me? I hated to say it, that there was a point where I was looking back into my past saying, what did I do to deserve this? I was like, seriously, who was I in a past life that I, what roach did I step on that I altered the course of time? I mean, what did I do, And there were times when I was blaming myself. There were times when I was just like, I can't, I don't understand. And it was like,
I can't continue because I just don't know the frustration of it all. Well, look, from talking to you, and I've spoken to you a couple of times, from talking to you, I think why you is because you are so awesome with Jake, and to have created this for him, to help him, but then it's lit a fire in him, and I think you're just awesome to have done this for him, so that he's got an awesome dad who cares and wants to help him out. There's so many kids out there who their parents don't care, or choose to ignore it and go, no, they haven't got the autism spectrum disorder, it's something else. And instead of actually accepting it and then trying to help.
And I've also, for as many parents that I've met who have children on the autism spectrum, there were also a good handful of parents who completely ignored, like, you know, the messages for early intervention and were like in denial, like, no, my kid's fine. And there's an autism database that's on our website, and there's a disclaimer on there that I put myself, that I'm just a dad, I am not a professional, you know, but, you know, like, and then I quote that early intervention is the best way to start, you know, is the best thing, you know, like for your child and stuff like that. You know, I see where it helps Jake. I see where it helps like the kids that are in his class, you know, that are in his classes. It's and hell, even it's helped me. I mean, it's helped me like try to develop better skills as a parent also, because I have to see things differently. So yeah. But yeah, you know, it's like there's so many people that I meet, and I realize like, wow, I really understand now. I didn't see it back then. Like when I'm like, oh, why me? Why the hell am I going through all of this? And like now here I am doing this, and I'm like, okay, that's the reason why. You know, but before, you know, pulling my hair out, and you know, like all of this, like this wasn't always gray. Like, you know, it wasn't like this. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful black moon.
Don't even go there. Like my son doesn't have autism, and you wouldn't want to look at the roots on my hair, so it's okay. It's fine. So hey, look. Okay, so look. I know you've mentioned the website a few times. So like, what's the website address? Where can people get in touch with you, get a hold of you as such? If you want to get hold of the comics, two, if they want to, you know, look at all the fantastic resources you've got on the actual website.
Sure. I made a note to post to put everything I can on the website. So the website address is www.jakejetpulse.com, and JakeJetpulse.
I'll put the links in the podcast. I'll put the links in the podcast blurb as well, so it's okay.
So it's also access to our Amazon store, like the videos and social media. So there's a lot of cool things on there. There's our autism database that we. Oh wow, there's a big loud truck there. Sorry, but but yeah, there's access to the autism database that I was mentioning. There's a lot of other cool things on there that are really, you know, like a breakdown of like different books that we have. So yeah, it's really there's really cool stuff that we put together. No,
that's cool. Are you, so what does the future have for Jake Jetpulse then? What are you guys looking to do next?
Well, what we're looking to do is like we really like, well, right now, like we're doing the self-publishing thing, but what we really like to do is like work with publishing companies to really expand and, you know, get the books out to like to more people, because I believe that more children need to see this and be inspired and to share all of the stuff that we've done so far, you know, and like just really just ignite their creativity and like you know, there's so many things that like come out of this. And I thought about it. It's like, not only are we looking to help children with like reading comprehension and math and fine motor skills, and there's that's the other thing too, because there's also in one of our books too, I think our beginner's reader, there's also like some really cool homemade like homemade do-it-yourself kind of arts and craft things, which we really love to do. Homemade slime and homemade finger paint and homemade Play-Doh, things that really get kids active and to do things. So what we wanted to do is like create like a YouTube channel that also expands on all of that, like arts and crafts. So we want to start working on that in the months ahead. So we invite everybody to go to the website and sign up to our newsletter, so we keep everybody posted of everything that's going on. And yeah, to stay on top of like the new books that are coming out. And where do we like to go? I mean, I would, this is a cartoon. Global. Yeah, I would love to see this all over the place. I mean, for real, I really would. And it's because I really think that there's a lot that people can learn from this. And being the unique part about this is that Jake Jetpulse is actually a one of a kind character, because I wasn't aware of this, but I remember shortly after the Today Show, aired, somebody had mentioned that Jake Jetpulse is the first Afro-Latino superhero with autism.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's awesome.
Right. Because
that's unbelievable.
I didn't know I did it either. So
but that's okay.
So yeah, which is also really good because it's like it also helps teach about diversity. The characters also not only are they not only is it like do they have the characteristics or traits of autism, but the fact of like their ethnicity and the diversity, like, you know, they're all coming together to fight, you know, like the forces of evil. And it's like, we wanted to create characters that were more relatable, that look just like everyday people. They don't have to be big and bulky and muscly and like, you know, not everyone looks like Wonder Woman. Not, you know, you know.
No.
Yeah.
No. Some of us wish we did, but no. No, but exactly. But, you know,
Superman's
Spider-Man is not big, bulky. So Spider-Man, admittedly, has got web slingers and stuff like that. But Spider-Man is not big, massive like Thor or somebody like that. You know, he's like a kid, like at the end of the day.
Because I remember like growing up and every single superhero was like impossibly huge. Like they went to the gym like 9 days a week and just like, you know, I could,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's cool to have characters that like they're short, they're lanky, you know, they're kids. It's like, you know, and that's what that's the reason why I deliberately draw them looking like kids. It's like, I want people to understand that these are the children with like, you know, imaginations. And it's like, yeah, they daydream about pizza and like watching their favorite TV shows. I you know,
this is the thing though, kids relate to kids though, don't they? You know, and also I know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were turtles, not children, but they were turtles who liked pizza, who, you know, did like skateboarding and stuff like that, which is what kids like doing. So
and it made them so popular, you know. And I mean, I still talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like, it's I remember collecting those comics. I remember like begging my mom. I would actually use my lunch money. You know, I would trade lunch and then like eat the money and then go and, you know, go to the comic book store.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was your calling. This was your destiny then. Definitely.
Oh, you want to see something cool?
Definitely was your destiny doing these comics and being a superhero.
This is just a fraction of the stuff behind me that you can see. Of all the stuff that I've collected over the years. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's like, I remember like my parents bought me like when I was 10 years old. And I still have them in that case. And well,
we'll have to get Jake to go to Comic-Con as Jake Jetpulse.
I want to. If anybody would love to help me make a costume, because I have no idea how. It's like, I mean, like, that's what I would love to do. It's one of my dreams to actually see him like dressed up as his own character.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. Come on, Comic-Con people. Get in touch.
Yeah.
We need to make this dream happen.
Yeah.
No, that would be awesome. So, okay. So talking about all of this. So your son obviously has his own superhero. He is his own superhero. Not that he has his own superhero. He is his own superhero. So, and I asked this to everyone, which is quite apt for you. What would your superpower be?
That's a really good question.
If you could have one.
I thought about this for a minute. Like, what would my superhero power be? Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Uncertainty. No. Let's see. Confusion. No, I mean, what would my superhero power be? I think like maybe my sense of humor. I just make you laugh until you passed out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's better than being yourself.
Maybe not the passing out bit, but at least it would be fun getting there. Well, yeah, no, definitely. And at my age, you know, I've had a baby, and at my age, you never know.
Superhero power would be. I mean, I'm really, you know what? I can say this, and it's not like a cheap way out, though. But I'm really good at seeing other people's superpowers, though. Like, it's like it's really cool because like I can actually like pick out the good things in other people, like spot it, like okay, you're really good at this. or you're really good at that. So I'm really good at rooting people on. I'm really good at just getting people. Is that like a leadership quality? I don't know. But
well, it's building and growing, and you've done that with your son. Definitely, it's building and growing and encouraging other people to build and develop on their strengths. If I was to put it in a wordy way.
Yeah, that sounds better than what I just
said. So your superpower is to recognize other people's superpowers and you're a Magneto. Is it Magneto?
X. Yeah.
No, you're Professor X. Magneto's the horrible one, isn't he?
Professor X, because
we don't want you there. Professor X.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. And you can have your own school of superheroes. That's what it is. You're there recognizing other people's superpowers, and so you're Professor
X. So I can
X.
just chill out in the chair all day and then lay back and like.
Well, don't go there, because he wasn't originally in the chair. He got shot, didn't he? And then he got into the chair after that.
But his powers and everything became so strong and everything that he's no longer no use for them.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See,
the movies change things with the comics now. So it's everything gets thrown off.
I know. But, I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much, and of course, comic book geek me. It's how much the source material is actually used.
In the movies. See, I'm a movie girl. So I watch. See, comics. I did read them.
Yeah, I have to be careful when I watch movies, because at least if the movie's 2 hours long, there's at least an hour of me going, that didn't happen. That's not right. They didn't do that. Why didn't that? Why they do this?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm all right, but I still enjoy it though. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the movie, but I have to announce my complaints.
That's all right. That's what we love about you. Yeah, that's what we love about you.
As long as I have my popcorn, I'm enjoying it. I'm good.
Oh, I know. Yeah, cinema good. Popcorn. I don't know. There's it's like no other. It's like no other. Yeah. And I haven't been to a cinema in the States, so I'm going to have to fly over and definitely go to one, because I'm sure they're so different from the ones we've got here.
Oh, wow. We're going to we'd have fun, Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. That's a defo. When they make the Jake Jetpulse movie, not sure who's going to play him yet, but when they make the movie, then that's it. I want an invite to the, what's it called? The premiere.
You know what? When it happens,
You've heard it here. When it happens. There's not an if, it's when it happens, buddy. And then we'll go from there. From there. Look, thank you so much, Led, for talking to me today. It's been brilliant. I love hearing about the story about you and Jake and what you've done. I'll put all the blurb, like I said before, on the website so that people can come through, read about you guys, buy the books, buy the T-shirts. Please, let's get this movie happening. Anyone out there, Spielberg or anyone, let's just do this.
Please pass it along. Anybody, please.
Yeah, or the stream to get Jake Jetpulse at Comic-Con. Let's have a stall there and do Jake Jetpulse at Comic-Con. That would be awesome. Yes. Oh, God love him. But look, I know it's getting late where you are, so I'm going to draw this all to a close and say thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Let's keep in contact. I'd love to find out what's going on with Jake Jetpulse in the future and where where everything goes as such. That would be awesome.
Yes, definitely will.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks, Led. I'll speak to you later. See ya.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more, please hit subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. If you'd like to support us further, share this episode with your friends and family on all the usual social media platforms that you're normally on. And finally, drop us a review on iTunes, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and ideas. It all helps me to understand and produce awesome content that I know you're going to want to hear, like this. If you want to check out past episodes, write to us, appear on the podcast, or for links, resources, and show notes, go to our website, www.strongsingleandhuman.com. We are also on all the usual social media platforms, Insta, Facey, and Twitter. Have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Be kind to yourself, and remember, no one's perfect, and we're all just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best. I'm Claire Martin, and you've been listening to the Strong, Single, and Human podcast.